Hello. It's the second news and commentary from the Georgia wrestling scene. I'm Stephen Platinum. It is Easter Sunday when I'm finally recording this. So the bad news is I'm a couple days late with it. I need to get on a regular schedule, of course. I'm a busy guy. But the good news is I'm able to add a couple of news items. I'm, still waiting to hear about Peach State and Southern Fried officially, but clearly the two of them had pretty good shows. And I'm sure whoever's reporting on them is going to put the crowd count, which I'm very excited about. Viral Pro, who I owe an apology to because apparently they do hand in reports, and I read it, and it's really good. And they put their crowd 250. So obviously they're becoming major players if they're not already there. Good for them. Good list of talent too. GPW reporting 275. Again, very healthy. Going into a bigger show for them. They're in a good way. AWA, which is, and this alphabet soup fucking group, AWA and SF, it had a whole bunch of letters in there. They didn't put a crowd count, so I didn't read the report. Wrestle America 2. Put your crowd count. Yeah. Other news. Combat Wrestling canceled their show. Is this the end for them? Of course, it's just theory and conjecture on my part. I don't know. I think they continue to try to run, but the problem isn't just the small crowds, apparently. The problem is they just can't get people to want to be on the shows anymore. It's amazing how quick things can change, yeah? We'll see what they end up doing. Big news item, obviously the Hall of Fame that they had for Hardcore Hell. Dan getting inducted, Jeff G getting inducted, Tank and Iceberg getting inducted, and as a surprise, Bill Barron's getting inducted by AJ Styles. Now, I had said in the first report, this is another apology due, that I had caught wind. A few people had told me of the plans to surprise induct Bill Barron's. I thought it was a bad idea. Turns out it went well. Yeah, proving you can do just about anything as long as you do it well. That's the good news. So the second bit of good news from that show is it drew 300. But the bad news, and there was definitely a couple items that I thought were bad news. One, a lot of the old timers did not want to watch the show. And I think this is related. Apparently Jeremy Vane, perhaps Tempers, a couple other guys who had been a part of building that place, building that show, were given a hard time about going backstage and things like that. Let me get this. I'll just fucking say it. These promotions and promoters and stuff who want to build these bridges, they need to get their own house in order. If you're a place like Anarchy / Wildside / the promotions that will not be named that were shit, that have run on that timeline in that building, and you do not completely open your doors to the guys who've paved the way, I don't know what to say except that's terrible. Did I ever have a falling out with guys in PCW? Sure. But when any of them wanted to come back or wanted to be in the locker room, of course my answer was fucking yes. And same with Hankins. That's what you do. And I get that people like Rick Michaels at one point felt excluded from that building, for good reason, by the way. But to give anybody like Jeremy fucking Vane a hard time when his promotion gave any number of Anarchy stars, taught them what to do, got them ready for Anarchy. Fucking blasphemous. That guy should have free reign. Fuck, that guy should be in that Hall of Fame. And the fact that the older generation doesn't even want to watch the show says volumes. I don't think it's a very welcoming atmosphere in the Landmark. And instead of pretending that it is, part of my job, I feel, is to call out things. And I'm calling them out. The Wild Side and Anarchy alumnus should feel free to come in and out of that building, in and out of that locker room. Here's a thought. Maybe your fucking locker room would benefit from their presence. Would it be difficult and uncomfortable? Yes. But isn't it better than the alternative? Don't forget, just because you're drawing a big crowd now, everybody is. Yeah. What you really want to do at a building, I can't believe I'm lecturing the fucking longest tenured promotion in Georgia on this, but what is the culture that you want to create in that building? Instead of just, like, a Hall of Fame is wonderful, but that's only a symptomatic thing, right? If the reality is you really don't honor the guys and women who have helped put you in that position, if all it really is honoring enough guys that really you're honoring yourself, then it's fucking terrible. Do things change? Of course. But I don't understand why a guy like Jeremy Vane would have a hard time fucking getting it. Now, I've heard that there's some pay stuff that apparently got resolved, and that's good too, with a couple of the mainstay wrestlers at Anarchy. Glad to hear that. But again, I think Rick Michaels and the other people running things at Anarchy need to do this. They need to be proactive about solving problems before they come up. They need to be proactive about creating a truly great culture, which includes the history of that building, because that building benefits so much from their history. You can't pick and choose everything. I don't know quite why the Jeremy Vane thing got to me so much. I don't know. In a lot of ways, it would be like Jay Fury being excluded from attending a PCW show at this stage of the game, assuming PCW is still running, which it's not. Which lets me segue into my next news item. So David Ali came on Tipping Point and tried to do his thing. People have asked me why I didn't destroy him, why I didn't smash him, because I was excited when he was going to come on in order to redeem himself, though he claimed it wasn't a redemption. Why the fuck else would you come on? If Larry and I don't matter, why the fuck would you want to come on so badly? And did he shit the bed? Yeah, pretty much. But what I find interesting is this Tipping Point coming up on Tuesday. Jonathan Feltner, multi-time ring announcer of the year, wants to come on and address what he said. So that should be interesting. Can't wait to see what he has to say. And also the booker of Southern Honor, who's going to talk about his appearance in the upcoming AEW Battle Royal. And of course, their big show's coming up. What is that, May 3rd? Let me look at the calendar here. 2 weeks. Are you going to be part of the group that helps them get 1,000 people in? It's funny, I haven't seen a lot of other promoters talking about that. I see them continue to go to each other's shows, but not talking about what promises to be the biggest event going. Fascinating. Hopefully the wrestlers continue to push. Obviously, Gary Lamb is going to continue to push. We'll see what we report on as we get closer to that. Okay. Something else. Oh, by the way, John Johnson recently has put out an article. Logan Chase as well has put out a second thing, and Drew Blood has his. I have to send responses about all three of those. I'm going to record them today. Today is my day to basically catch up because I'm not I'm not working today. It's Easter Sunday. So I'm able to actually catch up and do all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to look for videos about those coming out in the next few days as well. Oh, this is a big news item. Before we get to our award. What? Our award? Yeah, that's how we're closing today. I'm going to give out an award. Pretty exciting stuff. This is my way of trying to get you to stay and keep listening. Next news item. Fry Daddy appearing on NXT. That's a big deal. But I think the more interesting part of that news item is this. I'm going to say it again. Fry Daddy appears in NXT. Now, gauge your reaction to that. Because that says who you are, which is why it's an interesting news piece to me. Was your first reaction, so what? I'm sure it's nothing major. Then you got a little hater in you. If your first reaction was, yeah, I've worked with him before, and I was really smart to book him, or I was really smart to wrestle with him, then you're turning it into being about you. Was your reaction one of disinterest or not knowing who Fry Daddy was? Then what the fuck? You're involved in wrestling in the state and you don't know about a guy who wrestled quite effectively and prominently for just about every promotion and kind of was in charge and ran a show of his own that quite a few of the boys were on. If you don't know who he is, then you're ill-informed. You need to get to, gwhnewsandnotes.blogspot.com and keep up on things a little better. Or you can continue to listen to me, I suppose. Was your reaction one of genuine happiness or inspiration? He did it, I'm going to push forward and do it as well. Or he did it, really happy for him, he's a great guy. Everything I've always heard about him is he's a great guy, right? He's a great guy, he deserves it, I'm inspired, I'm going to push there as well. Probably not. Maybe it was a combination of a few of those things, but I imagine very few people had the latter reaction. In spite of the fact, undeniably, he works really hard. Undeniably, he's got the goods, got a great body, etc., etc., etc. Why do you feel the way that you do? Just a little life lesson. And now, for our award. What is this award? It is. I'll tell you how this award is coming about. It's coming about because I realized a few weeks ago, man, Georgia wrestling promoters are some out of shape. Not all of them necessarily, but let's be real with each other, right? Out of shape, fat, pasty, bald guys. At a time where Georgia indie wrestling has never done better, the promoters have never been uglier. And so why fight the tide and pretend it's not happening? Why not honor it? So hopefully in post-production, I can put these pictures in somewhere, maybe here. I don't know. Not that great with the technology. But what are the requirements to be the winner of our first Georgia wrestling promoter Uncle Fester look-alike contest? There are promoters that hit 2 out of the 3. You got to be fat, you got to be pasty, you got to be bald, and there has to be something kind of goofy or odd about you, right? Even vaguely threatening, but not in a way a grown person would be threatened, but more like a child. What are the requirements? Well, some people didn't meet all the requirements. Some of them weren't bald, right? Some were just not important enough to really make the 3. Yep. But here is the third, right? Or the second runner-up, I guess, is Rick Michaels. Yay. I couldn't find a really current picture of him that has him at his most festerness. But he's definitely gone bald. He's definitely gotten fat, and there he is. But he didn't win. He didn't win. But he's certainly prominent. Yeah, congratulations, Rick. Rick does tan a little bit, so that hurt him. That hurt his chances to win. Runner up, Matt Griffin. Matt's, of course, a great guy, great wrestling mind. Action's doing its thing. Matt's getting around there, and Matt has always had a great sense of humor about his own gimmick when he wrestled. The fucking flying dick thing. I'm not gonna get into that, but Matt, especially as he's returning to in-ring action and that kind of thing, you know, he's definitely got that like Mr. Potato Head thing going on, sort of bulbous and he's bald and he's got the like little stringy arms. Matt Griffin, you're our runner-up. Congratulations. Keep going for the gold. But our winner is David Manders, the promoter of Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. David hits all of it, right? He's bald, he's pasty, he's fat. Oh, man. Georgia Wrestling Promoters. David Manders, congratulations on winning. I know David Manders probably thinks I pick on him, to which I say, I pick on everybody. That's one. And two, any one of these guys can start working out. They can get themselves from an Uncle Fester to like a Big Hero 6 thing, and then so on and so forth. But congratulations, David Manders. You're our winner. And Tuesday, of course, Tipping Point. Going to have a couple of great guests. Like I said, I can't wait to see what Jonathan Feltner's going to say. That's going to be exciting in response to David Ali's rant. And then, of course, Dylan Booker for Southern Honor. Until then, have a great weekend and see you soon. Da 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 da.